What is up, disc golfers? Today on Iceberg TV, I want to have a discussion about some of the new discs approved by the PDGA. The PDGA has a process at which company needs to follow to get their discs to be allowed to be approved for use in PDGA sanctioned events. And if your disc is not approved for PDGA sanctioned events, then nobody's going to buy it. So it's almost a process, a monopolization that the PDGA is forced on basically every disc manufacturer. And I actually really like that this process exists. It keeps things fair. It prevents really bad products from, being less likely to get out to the public because companies are going to make sure it meets the measurement requirements, the stiffness requirements, and several other factors I'm sure they take into account when they're, looking at the disc and analyzing it and making sure that it's safe for competition. I think the whole process is really cool. But now in the last, 5 years, we've seen a crazy amount of brands coming out of the woodworks. And I'm starting to wonder, are we starting to have way too many brands in the sport? I'm wondering which brands aren't going to survive because eventually we are going to have too many fish in the pond. And, the people who are buying disc golf discs are going to continue to gravitate to the companies that have not only been around for a long time and they're time tested, but they're also going to gravitate towards the brands that their favorite players throw. Like right now, Discmania is going to be really popular, and they have coming out the P1, a new version of the Cloudbreaker, which I'm really curious, just got approved. The FD3, I know a lot of people are really excited about this disc. I'm sure Simon Lizotte, Eagle, and Kyle Klein, and every Discmania player will be throwing the new FD3s. Every Discmania pro has been throwing the DD3s really well. And the P1 is a non-beaded glidier version of a putter. So the P2 is a bit overstable for a lot of people. The P1 would be a beadless version that's a little bit more shallow and a little bit more glidey. Now, if we just go through this list here, you can just see there are some very bizarre sounding discs, some things you've never heard of, companies you've never heard of, and these are people who are taking a stab at producing their own discs. A lot of people get their discs produced in Europe. A lot of people get them produced in China. A few companies get them produced in the USA because it's very expensive to produce plastic discs here. The equipment's very expensive. So the people that are starting these companies are taking on a really big amount of risk. And I would love it if everybody could succeed. But I just don't think that every one of these companies is going to succeed in the long term. So just by looking down the list, you can see these are the manufacturers and distributors. Lone Star's been around for a while. ThoughtSpace has been around for a while. Windward Discs, never heard of them. Doomsday, never heard of them. NSH Custom Discs, a little bit more of a niche brand, but at least they have going for them the fact that their discs are 3D printed and they're extremely durable, and at least their discs are extremely noticeably more different from the rest of the discs that are being made. They're the only ones who have really locked down the 3D printed disc golf disc. So NSH Custom Discs definitely has a market that will help them succeed. Again, Doomsday Discs, Premier Discs, TOSY. Loft Discs has been a company that's actually come out of the woodworks that's been, very successful. Their Kickstarter raised like almost $300,000 at this point, I'm pretty sure. Pro Discus, they've been around for a long time, but I don't think they were making enough money to sign a big pro, so I don't think a lot of people have been throwing them as of late. The Jokery is their most popular mold, so I'm sure there's a lot of fans that are going to enjoy the Jokery X, and I know I see people on Foundation Disc Golf throwing the Jokery here and there. Again, Lucky Discs, Excel Discs, and we're starting to get to the point where the market is becoming oversaturated, and times are getting tough and things are getting more expensive, and people don't have the money to continue buying plastic, especially plastic from companies they've never heard of. If you're buying plastic from a company that you've never heard of, there's no guarantee that it's going to be good or that you're going to like it, so there's a little bit of risk that comes with it. Now, if I go and buy the new Discmania FD3, there's no risk. I know that what the FD3 is going to do, I know it's going to feel like, and I know it's going to be awesome. But now if I go online, I'm on Infinite Discs, and you know what? I want the Excel Discs Kanto. I have no idea what I'm getting. And, some people like that process of trying to learn what they like, but I think that we're starting to have so many disc golf companies. I'm just really wondering which one of them aren't going to succeed. A company that's doing a really great job is Clash Discs. They make excellent quality plastic. They sent me their entire lineup. You can see the review of the lineup on this channel. They sponsored Nicola Castro. They're doing tons on social media. And I think Clash Discs is one of those companies that's actually going to be able to stick it out and survive. But those time-tested brands are going to continue to be the brands that grow, and they're going to be the brands that people are going to continue to go to. We obviously have Innova, Discmania, Discraft, Trilogy, so that would be Latitude, Westside, and Dynamic. All these brands are going to stick around for a very long time, and they're going to continue to grow, and they're going to continue to become more valuable. But eventually, I think we're going to see some of these other brands starting to disappear. I don't think anyone's buying Franklin discs. Franklin's a massive company, so it doesn't really matter if their discs sell, but Franklin pretty much makes the worst disc golf discs ever made, so I'm wondering if the new molds are going to be any better. But I would love to hear your guys' comments in the comment section down below. What is your favorite brand that you like to throw that you think other people haven't heard of? What's your favorite disc that you throw that other people haven't heard of? I took a lot of pride back in the day, in 2018, I'm getting into playing disc golf, and I bought 2 Castoplast K3 Bergs that I still bag to this day. I have the most beat up orange Berg you've ever seen in my bag, and it is one of my best discs, but at the time, nobody had heard of Castoplast, and people weren't throwing Castoplast, and I had that Berg, and I was throwing it all over the course, and although I was throwing it really well, people weren't really buying them. I had the only Berg I had ever seen for my first 2 years playing was the Berg that I had, and nobody else was throwing the Berg. And eventually it does catch on if it's a really good disc, but it does take time. But I will say I liked the style points of having a disc that nobody else had, and if it's a really great disc, the company should be able to succeed if they have a disc that good. But I think this is something worth discussing, and I'm really curious of the opinions of the people who watch this channel. Do you think we have too many discs, too many disc brands? What are your thoughts of the process of the PDGA actually having to approve each disc for competition? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, because I don't really think this is something that everybody's, talking about yet, but I think we're getting there and things are heading in this direction. Comment down below. You're watching Iceberg TV. Don't forget to subscribe, and take care.